Come on. Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you ever want to live in a fantasy world where the most handsomest guy always ends up with a girl, and he may have time traveled or been a secret prince, but no one in the story ever asks any questions? You can live on Park Ave with a salary from Mickey D's, or walk from Denver all the way to New Orleans. But me, I prefer all the reality and the truth bombs drop from the crew at RTP. You got what we need, 'cause these movies are a chore, but you keep us wanting more. RTP, yo, you got what we need, 'cause roasting is your technique. I'm gonna tune in every week. Hey, hey. Laters, baby, but not too much laters, 'cause you got what I need.
Thanks for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Mikey made us watch I Love You, Phillip Morris.
I would like to start this podcast by saying it's pretty on brand that I wanted to be inclusive and pick something for Pride Month that is also a very bad look and very poor representation of the gay community. And I would just like to go ahead and apologize to all of my LGBTQ fans out there. I am sorry, and yep, here we are again.
Mikey, are you saying that all gay people aren't legit psychopaths who are legit the worst people we've ever seen on film? Interesting.
Okay, first of all, yes, it is bad that there is no real representation here because they are not played by gay actors. And Jim Carrey's character is a legitimate sociopath. But I do want to tell you that this is based on a true story. So, like, all of these are kind of real people.
Yeah. I still want to just get ahead of it.
I mean, there's a firestorm coming for you, Mikey. That is for sure. I'm not sure it's for this or for what's going to happen at the meetup.
No. 2021, perfect time to be like, let's be inclusive. Let's pick a movie I thought was funny 15 years ago, not watch it beforehand, and just run with it. I'm sure it holds up. I'm sure it's great.
Mikey, I still thought it was funny today. I loved this movie. Like, it has its serious problems. It is not great for representation, but damn it if I didn't love this entire movie and sob uncontrollably through the last 20 minutes of it.
I will tell you that I was crying laughing at him opening Dove chocolates and putting them on the fridge.
Oh my God, yeah. I loved it so much.
And I will say, just for that scene, people should watch this movie.
I'll say that there is a lot of scenes people should watch this movie for. And I think it's a credit to this movie that it is so insane, so bonkers, but that it still has an emotional center that will make you sob uncontrollably at the end. Like there is something about the fact that the movie still manages to capture that. I will say that this movie is, I think it belongs in a genre of movies that I love, which is like heist romances. And I feel like people classify, they're like, it's a gay movie. And I'm like, no, this is basically just gay natural born killers. And I am here for it.
I was going to say gay Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
It does sort of have that vibe.
Gay true romance. I am here for all of it. And yeah, so I loved this movie.
I have never seen a movie make prison look so fun and easy.
Well, clearly you've never seen the TV show Oz. That's lying. That does not look easy.
That is not a romantic version of prison for sure.
Absolutely not. No, but you're right, though. It does make prison look fun.
Paige, after Pride Month, I do want you to pick a heist love movie.
Oh, True Romance is my first one, obviously. Although I'll look around and see what else there is. Raising Arizona is another great one.
I still want to do The Chase.
It's The Chase.
Please let me pick it. With Charlie Sheen.
It's that movie we talked about where he like kidnaps a woman trying to get to Mexico or whatever, and they end up having sex in the car. Paige, it's insane.
Yes, okay.
We're just going to count it. We run this podcast. There's a love story, and they're in the car the whole time. We're just going to count it. That's fine. We're just going to do it.
I mean, I feel like dysfunctional though these characters are, because he is literally a sociopath and a con artist and constantly lying the whole film, I do love them together. Like, there is a sweetness there that, like, that's why I was sobbing buckets at the end.
I think this movie makes me sad because I was like, you can tell they genuinely love each other. But like, I was just like, bro, just check your sociopath tendencies and you would like have a happy life. Like, you don't need the mansion.
Well,
Get a little tiny house with a little tiny backyard with a hammock.
Mikey legit just described his house.
Yeah, I know. It made me sad for Phillip because
he meets someone who just sociopathically destroys his life.
Yeah. But also I feel like he's being open and emotionally honest and thinks that he's getting the same from his partner, and he's not. And so I feel like it is a bummer because I want him to be happy and in an emotionally healthy relationship, but he's also being pursued by a sociopath who won't leave him alone.
Okay. The end, I did not remember the end where he fakes his death of AIDS.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, okay, so I had never seen the movie before. This was my first time. So when you think he's dying of AIDS, and I am just sobbing, like, like, I am a mess. I'm just like, barely can see the movie. I'm crying so hard. And then when he's like, I faked it, I was just like, fuck you. Like, fuck you, Jim Carrey's character. Yeah,
he's terrible. I mean, we essentially are watching like the villain of the movie be presented as the hero of the movie, which I'm here for. I sort of loved that aspect of it.
Is this gay Sweet Home Alabama?
No, this is gay Fear, but Mark Wahlberg's character is the quote unquote hero of this movie.
I'm gonna say Happiest Season was Gay Sweet Home Alabama.
That is true. That's 100% true.
On point.
Team Plaza, or whatever her name was in that movie.
Yeah, Team Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah,
and
let's
start
just get
going
into
through
this movie, though. Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
There's so much to get through. For starters, the company that made this movie, Europa, their logo looked like a dick. Did anyone else notice it?
Yes. Well, and dicks show up in many places in this movie, like a lot.
I laughed every time.
Yeah.
And I know I shouldn't have.
No, dicks are funny. You should laugh every time.
This is the highbrow analysis you should expect from this podcast.
Dicks are funny.
Did you guys see that dick?
Controversial statement. So we open on Jim Carrey in a hospital bed with a heart monitor that is flatlining. And we hear his voiceover that says, love is a funny thing. It makes you happy. It makes you sad. It makes you do all kinds of things you never thought you'd do before. Love is the reason I'm laying here dying. And then we cut to a bunch of kids in a field, and Steven's mom calls him home. The kids in the field are looking at the clouds, trying to determine what shapes they are, and they can't agree. We don't know what shapes they've said, but they aren't agreeing on them. Steven's mom calls him home into their amazing 1960s house.
Yes.
Obsessed. And they call him in to tell him that he's adopted. And they start saying it slowly where they're like, we want you to understand it doesn't change anything. We love you. We chose you. And then his older brother's just like, you're adopted. And then his mother just slaps him in the gut.
Yeah.
The level of casual violence in this movie. Perfection. But so they tell him that they put money in a paper bag and gave it to his mom in the hospital parking lot so that they could take him home.
Yeah, they purchased him like a drug deal.
It's nuts.
Let's say you wanted to do that. Like, where would you go?
You just roll up down Dickerson Road and be like, yo, I need to buy a baby cash.
I would just say roll up to the local high school and be like, which one's your pregnant one?
Which one is your pregnant one? This is high school today. Which one's not your pregnant one? You can be the broker. Find me the one I want.
Hello, MTV. Connect me with Teen Mom.
16 and pregnant and selling.
They'll be like, Mikey, did you impregnate a high schooler? No. I'm not a bad guy. I'm trying to buy the baby.
Yeah, I'm just trying to buy that child. I'm a good guy here. I'm not a villain.
I will say I have a lot of friends going through this right now where they are my age or a little bit older, and it's actually more expensive to have a baby than to potentially explore alternatives for like fostering or adopting children.
Yeah.
And a ton of people have gone through the foster to adopt system in California and have had really positive experiences. So if you're one of those people who like wants to have a baby, explore that option because there's a lot of people that need good homes. and yeah,
I'm just going to
explore
fuck
it.
around.
And find out.
I mean, you could do that too. That's up to you. If you want to have your own, that's your choice.
Mikey is single and looking to sire ladies. Let's do it.
I don't super like that one.
Hey, Mikey.
Yeah.
What's your stud fee?
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
If people started paying me for sex, it would be the weirdest reality that I've ever lived.
It would truly be the darkest timeline.
It would be.
That would have to be like a Hell Comes to Frogtown type situation.
I just want that episode of Sliders where us three are in an alternate reality that people are trying to pay me for sex.
Oh, jeez.
Like, if I could pick two people to do Sliders with, it would be you two.
Honestly, same.
I love small hamburgers.
Well, we can see where Paige's mind is at. Let's just move on with the episode.
What if we slid into a universe that only had large hamburgers, like extra large hamburgers?
I'm here for
That
that,
sounds
too.
amazing.
Saucers.
I just like burgers in general.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is this is a suspect adoption.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his family clearly loves and cares for him, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's just a little strange that it was, done kind of like a drug deal. But also it was the 60s, so weird shit was happening.
Yeah.
We cut back to him in the hospital where he's coding, and then we cut back to essentially his life in the past where he says he then wanted to be the best, most perfect son he could be, to kind of quote unquote live up to it.
Yeah, to make up for his being adopted, I guess, which
is, messed up.
Yeah.
You deserve love no matter what. But
Absolutely.
anyways.
But I'll also argue that Jim Carrey's character in this movie doesn't know what love is and will never fully experience it because his brain can't comprehend it.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
argue that Jim Carrey's character in this film does not experience emotion in the way that most other humans do, or remorse, or empathy, or any number of things, and no one really addresses that. They're just kind of like, he's quirky.
Yeah. Isn't he weird?
I was like, he has some serial killer tendencies,
Yeah.
and he just hasn't killed anybody yet.
He is a dangerous man.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is a dangerous man. Oh, man. He's this sounds terrible. We're lucky that he only decided to just break in and out of prison for love, because if he had other goals, oh no.
Yeah. Well, and he's clearly like super smart. Like if he wanted to be a serial killer, he would have been a very good serial killer.
I am astounded by the things that he pulls off.
Yeah.
And so much of it is real. So much of it is things that he did.
Did you look any of that up?
Absolutely.
Hell yes. Paige, I love you so much.
Paige, I was so tempted to like Google, and I was like, no. Don't take this.
That's
from me.
Paige's job.
Yeah, no, I did some deep
Hell
Googling,
yes.
and like
God, I'm so excited for fun facts.
the thing that I think he is so good at, that I think is so fascinating about him, he really harnessed bureaucracy. Like more than anything else, he understood how people would not question things to just push things through, to not have to like slow down work. That blows my mind. The things he's able to do just by banking on people not checking and then being right.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, he gets away with most of this stuff because people are mediocre at their job.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's true.
It is. Absolutely true, Mikey. 100%.
This sounds terrible. That made me like the movie more because I
Yeah.
was just like, damn. Now, back into the movie, because we'll
Yeah.
get into that a little bit later. Back into the movie, we cut to him as an adult, and he's in the church choir playing piano. We see Leslie Mann in the audience. He is a police officer. We find out that that's his job.
Yeah.
And that he stole files to try and find his mother and brings those files home.
Hang on. We have to talk about how he brings it up to Leslie Mann because, like,
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
There's
okay.
like 2 scenes before that. Yeah.
well, can we talk about his crazy hair, though? Like, because when you first see him as an adult, I laughed immediately because his hair it's so bonkers.
Do you want to unlock a fun fact right now?
Oh, my
Yes.
God. Yes,
Yes.
please.
Jim Carrey shaved his own hairline back. He was not asked to do this by the studio.
What?
But he did it because he thought that Stephen Ray Russell, who is the real life man that he's portraying in this movie, was a more cerebral guy, and he thought that's how he would present it, almost like giving him a bigger forehead.
Huh.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's a weird dude. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I did know that.
Yeah, so like there are a lot of comics out there. I'd be like, man, I would love to just like hang out with them, get a coffee, and pick their brain. Jim Carrey is not one of those people for me.
I would absolutely go to a gallery opening to see his paintings. He has very good paintings. But yeah, I don't think I want to hang out.
No, I mean, I just feel like he's the kind of guy who would talk you to death about like something very like weirdly specific that you don't care about and like would not let you say anything about anything you like. Like, I just don't feel like it would be a good experience for anyone involved.
I don't know. I feel like I'd have coffee with him if he asked. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, Jim, if you want to reach out, I'm happy for you to prove me wrong. If you're a fan, maybe, and want to like just get coffee and talk podcast shop, I'm fine with it.
It's hard for me to make judgment because I feel like he had like a thing, almost a quote unquote breakdown like a few years ago. But I feel like
no, his girlfriend died by suicide.
Yeah.
His ex-girlfriend died by suicide, and it caused a pretty big break.
I don't think I would like being famous and not trusting anyone in your life and stuff like that. So I can't. It's hard for me to judge celebrities' mental health because I feel like they're in such a weird place. Not that I'm not shaming your joke here, but I'm just saying like I wonder what he's really like. You know what I mean? When people like let their guard down.
Yeah. I have heard from people who have met him that he's pretty intense, and he is well documented as having ADHD and then a number of other kind of depressive things as well. And so I think sometimes that just comes with the territory with those kind of people. I mean, as a person with ADHD, I have definitely talked too long to people about cults or murderers or any number of things at a party.
Same.
So like, I've been that person. I get it. But I have heard that he can be very intense to talk to. But all that to say, he shaved his forehead for this.
Wow. And it wasn't to look more like the guy. Like when I was watching it in my mind, I was like, oh, this guy must like in real life, because it's based on a real dude, have like a super high hairline and sort of crazy hair.
Well, I think there's some of that. And part of that is just because it's in the past. I mean, a lot of this is taking place late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And that was more of the style. Now, the real Phillip Morris looks a lot like Ewan McGregor, which is crazy.
Really?
He's in the movie, fools. He is in this movie.
The real Phillip Morris is?
Yes, I will reveal it when we get to it.
Oh,
yes.
God, I can't wait. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Let's just move on. Let's move on.
But yeah, so the hair is a choice. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
So he comes home with a box of files, and we kind of have to assume that it's the mom because he's just been talking about it. And he goes upstairs to put his daughter into bed. Steffi is her name. And he plays like Got Your Nose, and he seems to be a very loving father.
He's like a loving, goofy kind of dad. Like that's sort of the dad I kind of want to be one day.
Yeah.
You know, just like making her laugh, like letting her know she's loved and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
And then he goes into the bedroom with Leslie Mann, and they're praying before bed. And this scene made me laugh till I almost peed because of just the things that she is praying about. I could not control my laughter. Just her like, if it weren't for you, Jesus, I would have never found that coffee filter. And you're just like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, and thank you for her allergy appointment because it was your plan for her to enjoy nuts in her life. I was losing my mind.
I love Leslie Mann a lot. I think she's a very good comedic sort of actress, and she just goes so hard at being this like super religious lady that it was so funny. And then Jim Carrey also like, all right, let's done. And then, oh, we're not done. Oh no, I thought we were done. Really? We're gonna talk about nuts now? Like it was just he was so funny too. Like the whole scene is very, very funny because of their like dichotomy there.
Growing up in the Deep South, I will tell you.
Yeah. Mikey.
I have been witness to many prayers such as this.
Oh, same. That's why it was so funny.
Where I giggled my ass off. And like, you know, some prayers are good and it's very serious. Very serious. You got to keep your eyes closed. But like,
I once watched someone thank Jesus for finding like coins in the sofa.
Yeah. So you just got to open your eyes, see if there are any kids who's not closing their eyes so you guys can giggle at this prayer together.
Yeah.
Oh man. We cut it literally smash cut from the prayer
Smash
to
is
them
right.
having
Yeah.
the strangest sex ever. And I think
Is it strange?
it's super strange.
Is it weird to talk about pulling paperwork about your birth mom while you're balls deep inside Leslie Mann?
My favorite thing is when Leslie Mann is like, that's interesting, but I think you should think about it at another time.
Yes.
But also, I think this movie does a great job of, before they ever tell you he's gay.
Oh, God, that reveal got me, dude. I lost it so hard at that reveal. I was like, oh, my God, that's amazing. 'Cause, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know we'll get there.
I felt like as we're seeing him with Leslie Mann, there's something unnatural about it, where you're just like,
Oh, yeah.
this isn't right. There's something not.
I mean, he's clearly just, quote unquote, like banging it out. Like, it's just like he's not super into it. He's just doing it to be doing it, sort of a thing.
It reminded me of The Room.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. If you've ever seen The Room.
I mean, that's a rom-com, right?
Oh God, if we could do The Room one day. Yes.
Oh,
But in the sex scenes in The Room, he's a little too high.
Yeah.
Where you're just like,
Absolutely.
Is he boning her stomach? What's going on? And the same is true in this movie, where I'm like, just like, this doesn't work. It's not. I don't know. And I'm sure it was just so they could get that shot without him hurting Leslie Mann. But like,
Because he is going pretty hard.
oh my God. Well, and he's got the headboard that he's like pulling on as he does it. So
Yeah.
it's like noise and motion. It's one of the funniest sex scenes I've seen in a long time.
It is
I
very
think
funny, yeah.
The only thing maybe a little funnier is the one in Dolomite Is My Name, but this is pretty close. So he tells her that he's got the files. They go downstairs and look, and they find out that she lives like in their neighborhood, and they're both drinking just full glasses of milk.
Yeah, which seems bonkers. But like, Paige, I would imagine, and you're on the record as enjoying some toast coitus.
Yes.
A cold glass of milk with some toast coitus is not bad.
My husband will often do that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, he's got to get that protein back up.
bro, warm cookies and milk.
Well, I typically don't drink milk on its own.
Yeah, me either.
Me either. I don't. It's usually not in my house. I don't buy it because I don't drink it enough.
We buy a little bit of milk for cereal, and then I'll buy like larger quantities of milk to make cheese. But like, yeah, I rarely just drink milk. Jake will, but I don't really. So it was, but it's that very kind of quote unquote innocent, like, look, they're drinking milk and like, you know, it's a family. She's going to make cookies.
Yeah.
Even though nothing in this is right. Like, it's just,
Hey, she takes that all really well later on.
I kind of love her character.
Me too.
And
I
she,
wish we got more of her, to be honest.
I do too. And there are parts of this where she says some insensitive things about him being gay, but at the end of the day, she also remains his friend and is one of the few people that I think he can be honest with throughout his life. Because he'll call her to be like, hey, I'm changing phone numbers. She's like, oh, you on the run again? And he's just like, yep. And she's like, all right, well, just let us know what the new number is.
Yep. Yeah. She's like, when are you going to settle down, you crazy man? Well, have fun.
When you don't have to worry about custody, I mean, you know, you're able
Yeah.
to have better friendships.
Yeah, probably. Well, she also,
Yeah.
she knows all of his boyfriends, which I think is really
Oh, that's true.
telling because, and it's not in a mean way where it's just like, oh, hi, Jimmy, like, or, oh, hi, Phillip.
No, she
So
often
it's-
asks about how they're doing. How's Phillip doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which to me suggests that either A, they've hung out, or B, that she is well versed about it and is invested in his happiness in this relationship, even if it's not with her. Which, like, I joke all the time about, like, if Jake ever came out of the closet, I would just be like, let me cater the wedding. But honestly, I feel like this is your best case scenario if this happens to you,
Yeah.
is to just, like, have them as friends in your life. But yeah, so we cut to him trying to find his birth mother,
Oh,
birth
man.
parent. Yeah.
This scene was so funny.
Yes.
Well, we also find out that he only became a cop to find her.
Yeah.
He didn't care about being a cop. He didn't want to be a cop. He just wanted to find her. And he's like, hey, you gave a baby up for adoption. I think it's me. And she immediately knows it's him.
Yeah. And I love that she says, I don't know what you're talking about, Steven. And like,
go away, Steven.
Yeah.
I was like, she knows his name.
yeah,
Like,
and he has not said his name. His badge does not say his first name. Like, there's no way she'd know that unless she knew.
My
I love
favorite
that.
part of this scene is that he's like, I was the middle child. Like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Why did she?
No, my favorite part was when he picked up the welcome mat and says, "I'm taking this because it's not true." And then he
It's a
walks
lie.
away. Oh, and then he breaks her screen and then
Yeah.
walks away.
Well, and here's the thing. People give people up for adoption for any number of reasons. It's
Right.
not necessarily because they don't love them or don't care about them. But this scene is still so funny because she knows it's him. She knows that she lives that close and it's just like, bye. And they're having a family birthday party and she's just like closing the door in his face. Like his other two brothers are in there and she's just like, nope, hard pass. So after finding his mom, they don't have a relationship. So he
No.
quits the police force and moves to Texas, where we find out that he works for Cisco, basically like distributing grocery items, essentially. So like he's a produce distributor.
Yes.
And they're having a house party. And at this point, Leslie Mann's like, yeah, he's got plenty of time at home, so I can keep an eye on him. And then they make out in the creepiest way ever.
It's like Natalie and I at Chewy's, right, Mikey?
I don't want to talk about it.
For the record, it was a pet kiss at Chewy's.
Oh, bullshit. Oh, my God. I'm like sitting there eating chips and sauce and they're like making out. I'm like talking to the waiter. I'm like, I'm sorry. This is not appropriate.
You were not talking to the waiter about that, though. You were trying to pick up that waiter.
No, you wouldn't know because your tongue was in her throat. I was eating in a restaurant.
I was eating in a mouth.
Oh.
This
Gross.
makeout scene is just that step too far, more than you would do in public, to the point where it seems like you're trying to convince other people. You're like, oh yeah, we have sex all the time.
Or you're trying to like convince yourself, Paige.
Yeah, that too. Because our very next cut is to an intense sex scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where we're only seeing Jim Carrey from the waist up. And then we cut down to reveal that he's having sex with a man that is not Leslie Mann. And he's like, and it's a much more passionate, natural feeling sex scene.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one's clothed in this sex scene. He is like beads of sweat. Like, he's going at it.
Yes. And he's like, did I forget to mention I'm gay? And of course, he has not. Through the whole movie, we have maybe, theorized, but this is the first time he's mentioning it.
Right.
And he's like, have been, as long as I can remember. And we cut back to the scene of those children in the fields. And they're like, look up, I see this cloud. I see that cloud. And he just says, I see a wiener. It's a man's wiener. I see it. There it is. And it cuts up to the clouds. And it is just fully
It is a dick.
cloud dick.
Yeah.
It is a cloud dick. Oh.
It looked real. Like, did they go look at clouds until they found a cloud dick, or did they?
No,
CGI
that is
it?
absolutely CGI.
Mikey, it's a CGI dick, bro.
I'm going to cumulonimbus on her back.
Oh shit!
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. But he talks about how he has been essentially living a lie, and he tends to do that, where he's been hiding it from Leslie Mann, telling her that he's working late or seeing clients, and he compares it to shaving off a piece of the puzzle piece to make it fit, which is not how you do puzzles.
No, it is not.
That's not a puzzle. But as he does that, he gets in a brutal car accident.
Oh, yeah. And I was so surprised by that. It was amazing.
I was too.
Like the way it's shot, you're just like, oh, this is like a cool little like hero shot. And then smashed, like T-boned from another car.
It is one of the wildest car accidents I've ever seen on film. It is
Yeah.
shot crazy. And it looks like real and abrupt. They did a great job with
Yeah,
it.
it's really good.
But as they pull him from the wreck, he's essentially had a near-death experience. And he's like, I'm going to live my life the way that I want. I'm going to be a big F slur that we can't say.
I mean, he really leans into it, though. Like, really
A
leans into
lot.
it.
He's like,
Which-
that's what people are gonna call me because that's what I'm gonna be. I
So
was
much
like,
that the
wow.
EMTs are like, all right, buddy, let's just like
Okay,
calm it
buddy.
down.
Well, and I'm like, I'd feel better about this if it was a gay actor. But because it's not, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is like when Quentin Tarantino's in movies using the N-word.
Just in, oh, yeah, I thought you meant just in general. Yeah, I get that feeling just looking at his face.
So he then says, he's like, I just got to find the right way to break it to Debbie. And it smash cuts to him in the hospital being like, I'm gay. And she just goes, huh? And then it cuts away. And it's so abrupt. Like, it shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it's just the like, I got to figure out the right way to do it. And then just the most basic
Yeah,
way.
it seems like it was immediate. Like she just got to the hospital. And it's the first thing he
Yes.
said to her.
That is completely how my brother came out. Just walked up to my mom. Just like him and I were at the beach. We're all at the family vacation. We're in the water.
Weren't you guys a little bit drunk too?
Oh, definitely. We were in the water drinking. And then he's like, I was like, come on. I was like, we got into it. He came out and I was like, oh, I love it. We had like a sweet moment. He told me all these things. We like really bonded. And I was like, are you going to tell mom? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to tell her. And I was like, do you want me to like leave? You guys want to go for a walk? Or he's like, no, he's like, that's too gay. And I was like, Kevin. So he runs up to the rented beach chairs. There's families all around, and he's got a beer in hand. He's like, Mom, I'm gay. And that's it. And the families are all looking at us, and she's like, okay. And then so then we sit down and have this big talk on the beach chairs. It was great. But pretty much this scene.
It sounds like she took it well, though.
Yeah, just ripping the Band-Aid
Yeah,
off.
so much like Leslie Mann, your mom was on board for it.
And also, unlike Leslie Mann, we knew before.
Here's what's crazy. I think Leslie Mann did too. They don't cover it in this movie, but I think she finds out and is just like, yeah.
Or at least
okay.
like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense now.
A lot of things are falling into place.
Yeah.
But he moves to Florida and starts dating Rodrigo Santoro,
Yeah.
which like
Also from Love Actually.
Oh, and he's in Westworld.
Yeah, he's great.
oh yeah. But he develops a bit of a spending problem where he's buying anything that catches his eye. They're going out
Jim
and
Carrey
partying.
does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rodrigo's
does not seem like he's that kind of guy.
It doesn't seem like he really cares, where it really seems like Steven is the one driving that lifestyle. And he even says, he's like, being gay is expensive. And I'm like, no, it's just your buying habits are problematic.
Yeah. I did love the montage of him, quote unquote, making more money, of like all the slip and falls. And like when he walks at that escalator and just like swan dives down it, I lost it. I like could not stop myself from like chortling. It was embarrassing.
I think one of the great things about this movie is, God, you have Jim Carrey doing peak physical Jim Carrey comedy.
Oh yeah.
But then playing it kind of straight, and I mean straight in the comedy sense of like
Yeah.
he is not really the one making the jokes. He is kind of just standing by as the jokes happen. And it really does make for funny scenes. Although the whole time I was watching it, I just kept thinking, I'm like, Neil Patrick Harris could have done this. Like, there are a ton of other people who could do this, but it is very, very funny.
Yeah.
He does swan dive down that escalator.
That's
I like
so funny.
The cooking oil slip and fall.
I like the cooking oil one. Yeah.
So funny. He's also committing credit card fraud. So we cut to him with like a stack of credit cards and a stack of IDs. And he gives Jimmy a watch. And Jimmy, it seems like, doesn't want to be as flashy because it's gold. And he's kind of like, And essentially Steven's like, no, the gold's for me. I got you the stainless because I knew you would want, but like the stainless would be the less flashy one, essentially. And then we cut to him calling Deb for Christmas. And he's like, did you get my gifts? And she's like, I can't keep this. It's not what the Lord wants. And then we see in the background, her daughter is opening a present and it's just full of cash.
It literally is just like a box full of cash, which honestly,
It's just a box of cash.
it's the best gift. I don't care if you're 30 or if you're 4. It's the best gift.
Does he do it twice? Because I think he does it again when he's the CFO.
Yes.
He does it again later. But like this one where the little girl in the background just holds up stacks of hundreds and it's just like, Mommy! I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. So at this point, he comes into his office and there are cops in his office waiting for him. So he goes on the run.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knows what jail was like. He used to be a cop. And so he drives a red Bronco and tries to die by suicide by taking a whole bottle of pills and washing it down with booze.
Dude, when you see him slowly roll off the interstate, head on the horn, like
As
that
it
is such a funny shot. I mean, we are watching this man at like the lowest point in his life that he is trying to end, and I'm laughing at it. Like, that's the kind of movie this is.
That's my whole job. I'm kidding.
Sort of not though, Mikey. Like,
Yeah.
Am I?
He wakes up in the hospital with Jimmy over him.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's like, why didn't you tell me? Like, I didn't need all those things. Like, if you had told me there were money problems, we would have just figured it out. And Deb is also there.
I also get the vibe that his boyfriend was like, we'll figure this out. We'll get through this together. Like, wasn't going to break up with him necessarily at this point.
We know that he doesn't. Because later in the movie we find out what happens, but he goes and tells Deb that he's awake, and he and Deb together are talking to the police because I think they both care about him still.
Yeah.
And we find out that he's got multiple warrants in Texas. And at this point, this is the one time I think they have Leslie Mann say something kind of insensitive, where she's like, so is the gay thing and the stealing things that go hand in hand? But my favorite is Rodrigo Santoro immediately is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's such a stupid thing to ask. Like, why would you do that? So he runs from the hospital. He tries to jump off the parking structure into a dumpster, misses the dumpster.
Oh, man, that was so funny. Just like you see him throw his shoes into the dumpster, they land perfectly fine, and he just like swan dives off of it, and then it cuts over to him, and he's like face down on the pavement next to the dumpster. I lost it.
Well, shoes become
so
like
funny.
a through line in this movie where every time he gets arrested, he's like, can you just get my shoes?
Yeah,
and no
please
one
give me my
ever
shoes.
does.
Yeah.
Nobody ever does. So we do find out that there was a long period of, he just says, appeals and personal losses. And we don't know what those personal losses are until much later. But essentially, it's a long time before he actually goes to prison for this.
Yeah.
He gets to prison, and we cut to prison where he's giving a tour to a new guy where he's like, I'm Steven. Let me show you around. Here's the law library.
This tour is bonkers.
He introduced him to, like, if you want stuff from the outside, he's the guy. You'll need to have money, or you could suck his dick. Then you're probably going to get beat up. You just have to fight back, win or lose, or you could suck their dick. Or if you get something from the outside, cookies, brownies, whatever, if you want to get it, you can suck that guy's dick or pay for it. And if you need anything, just ask me. And the guy's like, do I need to suck your dick? And he's just like, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks.
That would be great. We cut to him calling from the payphones in jail to Debbie's machine. And he's just kind of leaving the message of, like, he still definitely cares for her and cares for their daughter, which is really... I do like their friendship. I really do.
I like it a lot too, yeah.
But as he's on the phone, he looks through the window kind of into the yard, and he sees Ewan McGregor's character, Phillip, sidestep a fight. Like, somebody's like getting shivved on the ground, and he just kind of sidesteps it to keep doing a crossword.
Yeah, he's like slowly walking through what looks like a cafeteria sort of place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a courtyard or something.
Yeah.
Just doing a crossword.
Food court.
Yeah, food court.
You know, the prison food courts where they have like Sbarros and a Chick-fil-A. Which honestly would be great. I'd be like, yeah, can I get 2 slices of pepperoni and a spicy chicken sandwich? And then I would just suck their dick and it'd be free.
Todd, it's not like that Sandals resort.
Is there a Sbarro at Sandals?
I know. I was like,
God, I hope so.
there's going to be one when we do our meetup there.
Oh, I've never been to a Sandals. This would be nice.
I would do a like vacation meetup, like just tell all of our fans that we're going to do like one live show from Sandals, Jamaica or whatever, and they can sign up if they want.
I'm not opposed to this. I will go on
100% on
vacation whenever.
Yeah.
We joked about doing cult pod camp and getting a camp to do like a cult podcast camp. And it is surprisingly affordable, but logistics are tough. So
yeah, that's why I want to go to an all-inclusive resort. Camping sounds terrible. Have fun with the Cult podcast.
No, but like a church camp where they have like a cafeteria and cabins and whatever.
Oh, I have a great location for that. I know of a great location for that. No joke.
Can they have weed there?
I mean, Sure.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because there's a ton in California where we can have weed, but then everyone would have to come to California. Anyway, so he approaches Ewan McGregor in the law library. He finds him reaching for a book, and he hands it down to him. He lies about being an attorney.
Yeah.
And at this point, Phillip, Ewan McGregor's character, tells him that he has a friend with AIDS and he's trying to get him some real help, but I don't even know what I'm looking for.
I don't even know where to start. Yeah.
Yeah, and Steven is like, you need to contact this committee. Nice to meet you. I'm Steven. And Ewan McGregor is like, I'm Phillip.
But they essentially have like their first date. And it's like one of those like
Yeah.
where they like really connect, you know, like where you like
Yeah.
go out for the first time and you're like, holy shit, I actually really like this person. There's like a lot of electricity there. And then like, you know, things, it's clear that you're going to see this person a lot after this.
Yeah.
Or 5 days later, they're like, nah.
Mikey, I was so glad you put your phone down and started paying attention because I was setting you up for that joke.
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
I'm
Mikey,
here.
have you considered like, you know, breaking a ton of laws to make sure that that person can have a personalized jet ski?
No.
Yeah, Mikey, I think the problem with your dating life is that you're just not committing enough credit card fraud.
About those checks later, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, I guess. How do you do that?
I don't know. Do you think she would text you back if you, were trying to help her get out of jail? I think she would.
So, but they tell each other about their families and everything. They really do hit it off. And we find out that Phillip is being transferred to another unit across the yard.
Yeah, same prison, different unit. And he
Right.
won't go into the yard because it's like a dangerous place.
It's basically like East Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I was still dating and someone was like, yeah, I live in East Nashville, I'd be like, unmatch.
Santa Monica, that's too far.
I just made Kate really mad. Our head mod Kate who lives in East Nashville.
It's basically like it's like long distance at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean-
I'm not going to cross the Cumberland to go on a date with you. You crazy?
I mean, the yard is dangerous for him.
Yes.
He could get jumped, he could get hurt.
Uh-huh.
So that's why he doesn't go. So we cut to they end up having to go to the different units, but before they do, Steven is like, "Hey, you're important, essentially. Like this is important, this is destiny."
Yeah.
So Phillip goes to his cell, and as he basically just first sits down in his cell, he gets a note from the janitor or the inmate who's working as the janitor.
Yeah.
Finds out that Steven has left him chocolate in his little toilet paper roll, and they essentially write letters to each other back and forth
It's
for
so
3
sweet.
months.
Yeah,
It's
they become
very
like pen
sweet.
pals.
Yeah, it's adorable. You just half expect him to show up later and be like, I wrote you every day for a year.
It is sort of like falling in love like at Civil War times.
Yes. Well, and we get snippets of some of the letters that they're writing, and it's one of those things where it's kind of played for comedy because it seems like such simplistic stuff, but those are the kind of things that you write somebody when you're
Oh,
first
yeah.
falling in love with them.
No one wants to open up their phone and be like, here's all the text I sent the girl I was dating yesterday, because that
Right.
shit is not something you share with people.
Mikey, I really want to go through your text all of a sudden.
I want to go
I
through
want
yours.
to text for you.
You
Mikey,
can do
I'd
that.
let you see my texts. Like, there's nothing
it's-
crazy in my
who-
texts.
Who do you want to see texts from, Mikey, right now? I will show you one person's
You
text.
guys live with them. It doesn't count. If you, let's fuck all y'all.
Yeah, because all the shit you're talking about that you have to text these women that you don't live with, I just whisper in her ear.
While she's sleeping.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
There you go. Anyway, so at a certain point, the letters stop coming for a couple days. And so Phillip asks the janitor, like, is there anything? And he just says, I ain't no DHL. You got a fucking tracking number, motherfucker.
It was so funny.
That might be my favorite character, honestly.
Dude, the way
He's-
he takes that beating because he said he'd play the whole song, I gained so much love for that character in that moment.
I'm a man of my word.
My word is my bond.
That's my bonds.
So funny. I lost it.
Well, the cell opens and it's Steven. So, like, he hasn't had any letters from him, but Steven managed to get transferred. And he's like, how did you do this? I know a guy. I took care of it. I'm going to take care of everything. And they just immediately bone it out.
Yeah.
We cut back to them basically having pillow talk.
Aw.
and talking about their past relationships, but something interrupts them. It's a man buzzing basically in the same sound and tone as the doorway to enter the cell block.
Yes.
And Phillip is like, oh yeah, that's the screecher next door. I haven't slept in months.
I sort of felt bad for that guy.
I gotta do too.
Because he's clearly got some issue that's causing him to do that.
Right.
And then Steven arranges for him to get like the shit beat out of him.
Well, we smash cut to him being beat up the next day by someone who doesn't know him. So people are like, well, clearly somebody paid him.
Yeah.
So Phillip sees it and goes back to his cell and is like, did you have the screecher beat up? And he's like, well, you hate that guy. And he's like, yeah, I did. But like, that is the most romantic thing anyone has ever done. You are so amazing.
Yeah, you think he's going to get upset, but he is not upset about it.
He's not upset.
No, I heard that guy wailing. He needs a beating.
Yeah.
He probably needs medication.
Yeah.
I think he was doing, well, okay. If he was mentally ill, yes.
Yeah.
But some people, especially in corrective situations, they hold on to any power they have, and power over people can sometimes mean just upsetting them, and it makes them feel like they're in control of something. So he could just be a person just really wanting to piss everyone off.
Well, that could be, and if that is the case, beat his fucking ass. But I would need to know. I would need to know first.
Violence is never the answer. Earplugs are the answer.
Can you get earplugs, though?
Yeah, you just have to suck
You
a
get
guy's
the
dick.
commissary. Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, we cut to they're back in the cell. It's finally quiet. And they pass a note to Cleavon, who is the janitor.
Yeah.
In the cell next to them because they want him to play a song. And they end up having to pay him $10 to do it. And their agreement is, you got to play the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he just says, fuck you. My word is my bond. Like, I was going to play the whole thing anyway. Why would you think I wouldn't?
Right. Like he's offended
So-
by them saying that, clearly.
Right. So he plays the song and Phillip asks Steven to dance and he doesn't want to dance, but eventually he gets down and dances.
Yeah, he acquiesces and gets off the top bunk and starts, dancing with it.
So they end up dancing and kissing. We get like a montage of them watching a romantic movie at movie time.
Like 40s romantic movies. Like
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're like cuddled up. And then as we cut forward, there's another prisoner just jerking
oh my
it.
God, I laughed so hard. I was like, there's only one person in here watching this movie correctly.
Yeah. Then we cut to the cafeteria where Steven has arranged for them to have surf and turf, like steak and shrimp
Yeah,
in the
so
cafeteria. We cut to them shaving together in the shower. And then we cut back to them kind of kissing and dancing in the cell. And we do hear the corrections officers being like, hey, it's lights out. That means no music. You got to turn the music off. And Cleavon next door is like, fuck you. My word is my bond. And they're like, if you don't turn it off, we're going to have to come in. Fuck you. And he basically cusses them out until they raid next door. And you just, as they're slow dancing over the song that keeps playing, you just hear him over and over. My word is my bond until you hear the taser.
Yeah, they tase the shit out of him.
Oh, my
man.
God.
But it's like this really romantic scene with a horrific beating during it.
Yeah. Oh, it's that juxtaposition that is so crazy in
Yeah.
this movie. But at the same time, like, Cleavon fucks. Good for Cleavon.
Yeah, Cleavon's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, we find out that Steven is being transferred.
Yeah. I mean, pretty abruptly. It's like they're cuddling in their cell and then boom,
Yeah.
he has to go.
Well, and it's because they found out that he paid the people who beat up the Screecher.
Yeah.
So Phillip basically chases through the hallways through the yard. He goes out onto the yard, even though he never goes out onto the yard, to catch the bus before it leaves. And from the bus...
And this is the only character development we get in the entire film from any character.
that is true.
That's so true.
Because even when Steven's like, I learned this, but it really just means that he learned another way to grift people.
Yeah.
So they yell from the bus, I love you too.
Yeah.
And Steven says, we'll be together again soon. I promise. I love you, Phillip Morris.
Yeah.
And we watch as the bus pulls away. And he says in voiceover, those are the longest 3 months ever. I wrote to him every day. And then after I was released, he basically gets out. I don't know how he got out first, but whatever.
Well, I mean, he had clearly been in there longer.
That's true. That's true. He goes to the nearest thrift store. The taxi driver basically witnesses witnessing to him about our good Lord Jesus Christ the entire trip there and back. Because essentially he leaves the prison, goes and buys a suit, then comes back as his lawyer, as Phillip's lawyer. Which, here's what I couldn't wrap my brain around in this movie. How many people don't recognize him? I'm like, it's the same dude. You saw him every day.
You literally just let him out of your prison today. Yeah.
You would be surprised. I don't recognize people from my gym outside the gym. Because with real clothes on.
Mikey, where are you looking at people at the gym?
At the gym? People are in their workout clothes and they're sweaty. It's like a different look than when people are outside of.
In their workout clothes.
Like we had a meetup and I was like, I don't know any of these people. And they're like, hey, Michael. And I was like, yeah, hey.
Mikey, are you okay?
What kind of gym do you go to that you guys have meetups not at the gym?
Mikey, did you join a cult?
Yeah, Mikey, you're in a cult.
You've never made friends with people at your gym when you
Mikey, I've never made a friend ever.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Except for that one time with that truck.
We all went out. We all made plans to go out to dinner, and the guys were easy to recognize, but you can't recognize. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck all.
If you can't recognize the women at your gym when they're not in gym clothes, you're not looking at them in the face while they're working out.
People look very different, showered, put together, and
anyway,
we gotta move on to save Mikey's. Yeah,
I don't even look at him. I'm throwing up in the corner.
Cardio's a bitch sometimes, man. I get
know.
it. Yeah.
So he comes back to Phillip. He's now Phillip's lawyer, allegedly, although he's not a real lawyer. It's very Catch Me If You Can, where he's practicing law without a law degree.
Right. Well, actually, Catch Me If You Can, he does have a law degree. Well, he does pass the bar.
He passes the bar,
He doesn't have a law degree, but he doesn't pass the bar in this movie. Steven doesn't.
Yeah. But he's filing motions. He gets a letter from the judge. He has figured out how to game the system. And we cut to him having a phone call about it and then returning to his job at a deli counter where he's just like, my boyfriend's getting out of prison this week. And the bagels in the basket next to him are in the shape of a dick.
I love it. We just knocked it over so he doesn't have to look at it. That was so funny to me.
Oh, man. But then he shows up at prison and he has the early release order and they let Phillip out.
Yeah.
And so they have a release party and Phillip introduces him to one of his old neighbors and basically says she's having a trouble with her building. Is this something you could help with legally? And he's just like, sure, why not?
And she's like, I'd happily pay your fee is what she says.
Right. So he goes to court. He has no idea what he's doing and he's losing this case.
Oh, yeah.
And he demands to be seen in chambers. He goes into the judge's chambers and he's like, I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. And then just kind of stares the judge down. And the judge is like, are you talking about Marshall versus Chow? And he just goes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And the other lawyer's just like, damn it. The one thing.
Yeah. The one way they could win this, the judge gave him.
Yep. So he leaves and he's like, I did great. Let's go out. I'm paying. So we cut to, he brings Phillip into their fancy new apartment and Phillip is like, how are we paying for this? What's going on? And he just says, you let me worry about the money. I'll take care of it. Also, we're going on vacation. We cut to them on a fishing boat that just says hooked up on the side.
Oh, and Ewan McGregor is clearly going down on him.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, when he pulls his pants up, you just see his legs lift up and he shimmies his pants back down towards his hips. I was like, I've done that move.
No. Before that, Ewan McGregor spits into the ocean and then Jim Carrey goes, you don't love me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Mikey, you've said that too, haven't you?
I don't use the L word.
The L word is Listerine, though. He doesn't use Listerine.
Anyway, in voiceover, we hear him basically say, with Phillip, I felt strong, like I would never want for anything again, so I wanted to make sure I could give him everything. Basically, he wants to just pamper him.
Yeah.
And so he needed a real job, something dependable, no more scams. So he interviews at a company owned by a man named Dan Lindholm, who has a bunch of space shit in his office and is like, oh, were you an astronaut? He's like, no, NASA's too political, basically.
Yeah, I got the vibe that he worked there and wanted to go to space, but never got selected to go to space, and then started this company, right? And he's like, I don't
Right.
want to talk about it. But his lobby is full of NASA shit with
Yes.
a picture of him in like a NASA uniform.
Well, my favorite is that Steven is just like, really? You don't say. How do you crap up there?
Oh, and then he goes into detail about it.
Yeah. So he pulls up his resume and is like, your level of experience and prior education, you're head and shoulders above the rest. I called all of your references, and we cut to Steven is pretending to be his own references.
Right. Which
So,
honestly,
people do it all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. So they give him a job as the CFO.
the fact that they give him such a high level position without like really vetting him blew my mind.
Well, and he's got like a corner office. He's got stacks of files. And we cut to a board meeting where it seems like he is out of his depth.
I loved this turn though. I loved it so much because you're like, oh,
was good.
The jig is up. Like they know now that he's been there. They said he's been there 3 months. They're like,
Yeah.
he's through that quote unquote like ramp up period, you know, where you sort of give someone leeway because they're learning the business. Yeah.
Probationary period, yeah.
Like you're just sure he's going to fall on his face. And then he like crushes this meeting. It's so great.
He does. And he basically stands up and gives a presentation about how they're making a ton more money than they expected in Q3. And he says he's going to show them how he did it, and he cuts away from it.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know what he told them. But we cut to his office, and his boss is like, hey, important question. Do you play golf? Great. I'm going to kick your ass next week. And we cut back to his apartment where he's telling Phil that he has to go play golf.
Yeah.
And Phil's response,
So funny.
I mean, there are gay dudes that play. There are gay people of all variety that play golf, I am sure. But his assertion that golf is essentially, you know, in more words, straight people shit.
Yeah.
Is so fun. Where he at one point is like, why don't you just eat pussy if you're going to play golf? Which is nuts.
I was really hoping we could get Mikey to recite that line.
Nope.
I'll get you to say it one of these days, Mikey.
Nope.
We cut to him playing golf, and he's terrible at it. He finally gets it up to the green, but he's been cussing the whole time, which is kind of like a big no-no in golf.
It's so funny though. Like, shit fist fucker. Like he's saying some crazy shit. It's so great.
Well, and he walks back up out of the sand trap and is like, pardon my French, my mom smoked during pregnancy. But then we cut back to the apartment where Phillip is kind of alone. I do get the impression that Phillip is kind of lonely, where he feels kind of neglected, where Steven's out doing all this stuff for, quote unquote, for Phillip, that Phillip didn't ask him to do. And Phillip is just kind of left around the apartment by himself to eat Dove chocolates and put their messages on the fridge.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that is so strange, but at the same time kind of sweet, where it just makes you like him even more.
Yes. When he reads that one message and then like holds his heart
Yeah.
and then puts that one on the fridge. Oh.
It is so cute. Ewan McGregor does such a great job in this movie.
I just wanted to give him a hug.
I know. I wanted to pick him
It's
up
like-
and put him in my pocket. He was so sweet.
You poor man.
I know.
Like-
Your life is currently getting destroyed by a sociopath, and you
have
don't
no
know
idea.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Steven puts on a tux. He's going out to a work gala and promises to be home early. But at the work gala, they're like, hey, are you married? And he's like, oh, I'm engaged, but she's at work.
Yeah.
So he's lying about his life again. And we cut to him back at the office the next day. He tells a lawyer joke to the secretaries, and we watch it just like spread around the office till it gets back to him at golf. And one of the other executives tells it with like racial slurs.
Oh,
and it's just like
so bad.
horrific. And this is where we find out that he's been robbing them blind for months.
I love the way they do this shot because it's like him at like dinner, quote unquote, eating with them. And like they're talking and having a good time and he just looks bored as shit. And it like slowly pushes in on him. And he's like, I don't know if it's because they're like the most boring fucking people I've ever met, but I decided to rob them blind.
Yep.
I loved that shot. It was so good.
Well, and what we find out is essentially they had a medical management company,
Yeah.
like an insurance company. And we know that he's committed insurance fraud before. So he has learned the insurance business.
I mean, honestly, he he probably could have been a good CFO for them had he not scammed them. He could have had a pretty great life from here on out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he essentially what he has chosen to do is as money moves from the insurance company to the people they're paying it out, it sits in an account in the interim. And so he just made that an insurance earning account, not insurance, interest earning account.
Yeah.
And he's just skimming off the interest. But because it's so much money, he's basically getting rich just off the interest. And he's only taking half of it, which is even crazier. So he's putting half of it in as earnings for the company. That's how he's doing so well as a CFO. And then he's taking the other half and embezzling it.
Right.
So he and Phillip move into a fancy house because he told them he got a Christmas bonus in July. And Phillip is questioning these things where Phillip is like, this is weird. And then he'll distract him with something like matching jet skis and matching Mercedes convertibles. And he pulls that convertible up to work, blasting music right up next to Larry. And being that flashy makes Larry suspicious.
Well, he's also sort of a dick about it. He's like, oh, did you get the 3 Series? Yeah, it's a really practical car. He's talking shit about his... It's a Mercedes, right?
It's a Mercedes,
yeah. It's a nice car. It may not be a soft top convertible. By the way, never buy a soft top convertible.
He's a con man. He's supposed to be well liked. I think it just wears on him to be at the same place so long. Because once people don't like you, they will look into you and try to destroy you.
Yeah.
I honestly think he gets so bored because perhaps he's just super smart and gets bored easily that he sabotages his life to have to move on to something that he's not bored by. I don't know if that may be too...
I would say you're on to something with the sabotage, but probably not because he's bored. It's probably something else.
Fair. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes off as a genius in the movie. Very, very gifted at con artistry.
Well, and here's the thing. A lot of the things that we see in this movie happened in real life.
Yeah.
So yes, he is that smart.
Yeah.
Because he pulled it off, you know? So... Larry's looking through all their numbers and finally finds a page with a dick that also has a dick. It's a dick with a dick drawn on it.
That reminds me of God, what was that movie?
Superbad?
Superbad,
Yeah.
where he's drawing the dicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he then takes it to the CFO.
The CEO. He takes it to the CEO.
No, you're right. The CEO, because Steven's the CFO.
Yeah.
But Steven overhears him kind of calling about the accounts. He knows that he's literally about to find out what happened. So Steven just leaves, withdraws a ton of money. He calls Leslie Mann to be like, I want to let you know I'm changing all my numbers. And she's just like, oh, did you do it again? I mean, you should really stop doing this, but give us a call from whatever your new number is.
Yeah, from prison, probably.
And his boss calls from the office and he's like, hey, where are you? I'm at the office. Are you coming back? And he's like, no, I'm not coming back in. And I think we'd both know why, which is a baller move to be like, I'm not coming back in because I embezzled from you. Bye.
Thanks for your millions. Bye.
He gets to his house and people keep calling. And Phillip at this point is just like, something is up.
Yeah. And literally the day before in the movie, Phillip was like, hey, you're not hiding something from me, are you? They have that sort of conversation and he gives him a chance to come clean in a way that still holds the relationship together. And Jim Carrey's character does not take him up on that. And then, of course, literally the next day, this happens.
Yeah, and Phillip literally runs and drives off in his car.
Yeah.
Steven tries to pack all the money and do it, but then the police literally get him right as he's leaving.
Yeah.
And he basically says, there I was again, keeping secrets and living a lie, and I tend to do that, and I don't blame Phillip. I have to get him back because of something my ex-boyfriend Jimmy said. And this is when we cut back to finding out what happened to Jimmy in between the time when he missed that dumpster and then actually went to prison. There was a long period of time there. And we find out that during that time, Jimmy slowly died of AIDS and he basically watched it happen.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly sad.
It is,
and it's this scene of I know I'm going to die, but I want you to be happy after I die.
Yeah.
And it's crushing.
It is.
You're just
very
oh.
sad.
But he basically takes that to mean that it is Phillip and that he has promised to treat him okay, so he has to get him back. So while he's in the back of the police car, he asks them to bring him Phillip's insulin. And as soon as they hand it to him, I was like, oh, he's going to fake his death, like immediately.
Yeah.
Because he essentially just injects himself enough times to make his blood sugar drop so that he goes into a coma.
He injects himself like 8 times. Like when
He could have died.
Oh, so it's a miracle he didn't.
But this is the second time when going to jail, he has done something that could have put his life on the line, you know?
Yeah, he does not seem to care.
No, he does not. I did sort of love it though, because the cops hear something, turn around, and he has the syringe like sticking out of his arm, and he's like just like spitting stuff out of his mouth, trying to breathe and stuff. Oh man.
He's foaming in the mouth in the back seat.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the hospital, chained to the hospital bed. They take him back to jail.
Of course he's chained to the hospital bed. This guy's a genius escape artist, con artist. Like, yeah, chain him up.
My favorite is they set him down on a bench to have him booked, and we cut down the benches. They're like, "What'd you get? What are you in for? Grand theft? What are you in for?" And by the time they turn, he's already in the elevator escaping again.
Like with the cleaning crew.
Yeah, and then the elevator opens back up, and they've already brought him back.
Yeah.
And he keeps calling Phillip. He ends up forging his own bail paperwork. He calls and pretends to be a judge to get his bail processed faster. And he gets out and they immediately bring him back. So like it doesn't last. They immediately catch him. But then he has someone hit him in the face with a phone so he can go to the infirmary.
Yeah.
He takes a guy's ID card. Then he breaks a Sharpie into the toilet so he can dye white scrubs to be green, which is so smart.
I love the way they cue that up though, because he's like, I like your green scrubs. And then you see him making his scrubs green.
Yep.
And then he just walks out.
He walks out using an ID card.
Yeah.
And he gets recaptured at a local motel and he never gets to keep his shoes.
I love that.
We cut to him back at jail where he's passing out sandwiches and steals a walkie-talkie so that he can pretend to be
This is so funny.
he can pretend to be an undercover cop.
Yeah.
Where the only clothes they can get him are like hot pants and a flame shirt. But he just walks through with the walkie-talkie and they're like fucking vice cops, man.
Yeah,
like where they're just assuming he was undercover as a sex worker, basically. He gets out, he pulls up to what is an adorable little house.
Oh, yeah.
In a limo with a suit and a bouquet.
I love how he sidesteps the gate. It's so
He just
subtle
walks
and
around
funny.
it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And Phillip is basically like, hey, fuck you.
Yeah, you destroyed my life.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah, you put one of those accounts in my name, which makes me a co-conspirator, and now you're here at my house. How am I supposed to argue that I didn't know if you're, like, coming to pick me up and everything?
Yeah.
And they have this argument, and by the time they finish, the police are there, and
Well,
now
he's
they're...
like, wait a minute, you're not even a lawyer. Are you a lawyer?
Yeah, you lied to me about everything.
Literally
essentially.
everything. Yeah.
And he did. He did lie to him about everything.
yeah,
He did.
He's a terrible guy.
Well, and now they're both back in booking for jail, and he has a very, very kind of sad but serious conversation of like, our whole relationship was lies. I don't know who you are, and I don't even think you know who you are.
Yep.
Because you are just whatever somebody needs you to be in the moment. And we get in voiceover as they take Phillip away to his cell block and Stephen away to his, because they're going to 2 separate ones. He says, that was the last time I ever saw him. And maybe they are right. Maybe my whole life was a bunch of lies. And we kind of intercut between both of them back in prison. And he basically says, maybe I've lost track of who I was, and maybe this is why my mom gave me up for adoption. Maybe she knew, which is impossible. There's no way she knew.
That child was a baby. You can't tell if they're a sociopath at that age.
Yeah, but we see him not really eating in the cafeteria. We see him barfing in the toilet and losing just a ton of weight.
I mean, it looks like he might have contracted AIDS. Like, it looks like that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It's
does.
very convincing. He sells it really well.
He sells it really well because we cut to the doctor who's basically like, hey, your T cells are bad. You probably don't have long to live.
Yeah.
And so we then get him in voiceover basically saying, I've been in this bed for months, just waiting to die. I just want to see Phillip one last time. And we find out that the message gets to Phillip in jail. And Phillip basically runs to the infirmary, but he's not there because he slipped into a coma. And he's conscious now, but very sick. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And we're cutting between like hearing kids outside the window and him hearing his mother's voice. And the phone rings and it's Phillip on the line who wants to talk to him. And Phillip has this like so sad speech of like, I know that everything you did was because you loved me and I'm sorry, but like, and you're just like, oh God.
It is super sad. It's like one of those like, hey, I still sort of hate you, but I cannot deny that I have and will always love you.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And also like a final goodbye mixed into all that. So it's truly sad.
It's truly sad. We also find out in this call that he tested fine, which means that, like, where did he contract it? And I think the implication is maybe Jimmy and it was latent, but we don't know. But what we'll find out is that he didn't contract it at all. This was fake, and that's why Phillip doesn't have it.
Well, when Phillip said, I am fine, like he doesn't have it, I was like, oh, this is fake. He's faking this.
That was that kind of peaked it for me too. So he dies on the phone, or it's implied that he does, or slips back into a coma.
Wait, we got a timeout. Phillip Morris needs therapy. It should be the name of this movie.
Yes,
because we have to go back to that little speech.
Phillip Morris needs therapy and a healthy partner who is going to be honest and open with him.
That narcissistic sociopath is not someone you should always love. That is something where you should grow and be like, I have some unhealthy tendencies, and that is not a person that I can love.
Have you ever dated somebody like Steven?
I think we've all dated a sociopathic narcissist. I would assume. I know you have, Todd.
I 100% have.
I've been friends with one. I have not dated one. And we are not friends anymore.
I have dated a woman who, like, I could, like, watch her lie to me, and I was like, I know this is a lie. But it's, like, so convincing. And, like, she was just, like, whoever I wanted her to be in that moment. Like the first 3 months, I was like, oh, this is great. She's awesome. And then I realized, like, she just was not that person, you know?
Yeah.
Like she was just, it was a bad toxic time in my life. I'll just be honest with you about that.
What we cut to in the movie is the guy in jail who told him Phillip was sick tells him that Phillip has died.
Yeah.
Or tells Phillip that Steven has died.
Yeah.
His reaction is just heartbreaking.
I mean,
You're
he's
just like,
heartbroken.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But then they immediately come and kind of escort him to a lawyer that's there to see him.
Yeah.
And it's Steve. And at this point, I was like, what? How? Like, what? And he just hauls off and slaps him.
I did love that.
And I was like, deserved.
Yeah.
Yep. So then we cut back where Steven basically takes us through how he faked his death and it took him 10 months to do it.
Which is a level of commitment to a con that I absolutely respect. Like, Steven is a horrible person, but you're sort of like, fuck me, he did it. Good for him.
No, that's terrible.
Steven is ill.
I know.
Is
He's very
ill.
sick.
I know, but like in the movie, The Sting, when they pull it off, you're like, fuck, well done, guys. And that's sort of how I felt in that moment. I was like, I mean, you're a terrible person, but like...
Except that they were trying to rob something. He straight up... he had two motivations. One, to break out. But two, to emotionally manipulate Phillip Morris.
So what you're saying, Mikey, is you would do anything for love, but you won't do this?
I would do
anything for love, including fake AIDS for 10 months.
No, I would not fake an illness for love.
I will say... this is terrible. It made me so mad to find out he faked it. But some of the ways that he fakes it are literally just playing on assuming that people will stereotype him.
Yeah.
Where he's like, people know I'm gay. People know these things about me, so I'm going to play on that. So he just gets his records falsified and loses a bunch of weight. That's basically the bulk of what he does.
It's like the easiest thing. Like, it just takes time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just falsifies like one medical record and then plays the waiting game and loses weight. That's it.
I also struggle with losing weight, so...
Mikey, I'll give you 10 months.
Given prison food, I feel like it would not be as much of a problem for me to lose weight in prison.
Yeah. I feel like your cheese allowance in prison is way lower than it is outside of prison, right?
I think it's 0, and that's going to be a problem for me.
I honestly would be stabbing myself full of insulin on the way to prison then too, because cheese is delicious.
So we find out that he had basically convinced them that he was about to die by overdosing, and that put him into a coma. And then pretending to be a doctor that had an AIDS study that he was the only one who qualified for. So he sets all of this up. And he does it just to get back to Phillip. And they essentially, at this point, get back together, it seems.
Yeah, they were writing as he's pretending to be his lawyer to get him out again, right?
Yes, he's pretending to be his lawyer to get him out again. And he basically is like, I know who I am. I'm not a lawyer or a CFO or escape artist. All that's left is the man who loves you. But then he does all those things again.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But he is literally just saying whatever he needs to in the moment to get what he wants.
Yes.
Like, that is the type of person he is.
That
Yes.
is a narcissist.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, I have dated that person.
Well, so what happens is he goes to court to try and negotiate Philip's release, and he ends up at a toilet next to Larry, who's there on jury duty. And we just get the shot of Larry realizing who it is, and then we get a title card that says April 5th, 1998. Stephen Russell was arrested trying to secure Philip's release.
Yeah.
And then we get another cut to his court case later. An embarrassment to the state of Texas and Governor George Bush, Stephen was given an unprecedented life sentence. And coincidentally, the DA who prosecuted him was the sister-in-law of Dan Lindholm, the guy he was the CFO for.
Yeah, the guy who owned that company.
And then we find out that Philip Morris was released in 2006, and Stephen Russell remains in 23-hour-a-day lockdown with only 1 hour per day for supervised showers and exercise. And as we get a close on his face, we see a smile, and we hear a siren blaring as he runs across the yard, presumably to try to escape again. And the camera angles up into the clouds,
Oh, yeah.
where we see a giant cloud dick.
I forgot about the last cloud dick. Yeah.
And that's the movie.
Yeah. All right. So having seen the movie, having talked about it, what did you guys think about I Love You, Phillip Morris?
It's definitely not a portrayal of a healthy relationship.
Absolutely not.
In that he is abusive and gaslighting. I would say emotionally abusive and manipulative and gaslighting. But I also kind of loved this movie.
It's definitely, for all of our gay listeners, it's a what not to do.
I mean, you could make this a straight couple and it's still a what not to do, Mike.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely. But
This
they're
is
not
bad no matter
straight.
what. It has nothing to do with the fact that they are gay.
Yeah.
He is a narcissist.
And I guess don't date them. Also, I just want to apologize again.
So, like, honestly, Paige, I enjoyed this movie too. It was fun to watch. I'll never watch it again, but that's largely because there is no like character growth or character development in this movie.
Right,
And it really
right.
is just like following the villain of the movie and portraying him
Yes.
like the hero in the story, which I'm here for. It's fine. I enjoyed watching it once. It's just not something I'd revisit, you know?
I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit it. I'm not sure. I feel like this movie has a very confident voice, and I love it. And it's
That's a very good way to phrase it.
it's wrong in a lot of ways.
But it knows it's wrong.
Well, and they lean into it. Yeah.
But it knows it's wrong, and they lean into
Yeah.
it. This movie is so funny and so sad all at the same time. Like, I genuinely did really like this movie, even though it has problems.
Yeah.
And I do think that some of that is due to the fact that it's based on a real person, and, you know, some of this is real life stuff. I do wish that we had better actor representation. I wish we had gay actors in it. I think if you remade this movie today, you would. But, oh man, I liked this movie. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Mikey, what'd you think?
It makes me laugh a bit. Mostly, I just watched it nervous about how I would be perceived for picking it. And so
I could see
when he
that.
faked AIDS, I was like, this is it for me.
So, Paige, do you have some fun facts for us?
I have so many fun facts.
I cannot
So,
wait. Let's do this.
let's get into our fun facts. Dick Cloud fun facts. So the film is based on the real life story of Stephen J. Russell. And in the very last courtroom scene, Stephen's lawyer is played by the real life Philip Morris.
Is he out of prison?
What? Yeah, he got out of prison in...
Oh, Philip Morris. Okay.
Yeah. So it is, like I said, based on true events, but the timeline of those events has been changed to fit a movie.
okay.
So Stephen had actually stolen civilian clothing, a walkie-talkie, and pretended to have AIDS to get out of jail multiple times before he ever met Philip. So he was just like an escape artist,
Right.
like from the jump.
Sure.
He does eventually feign getting AIDS again, basically after living with Philip for some amount of time to be with him again, and it does work. but he is now serving a 144-year sentence under heightened security.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh!
Before we get to some more info about his sentence, let me get through how
Okay.
they eventually caught him.
Okay.
So on March 20th, 1998, he pretended to be a millionaire from Virginia to legitimize a loan from a bank in Dallas so that he could pay for the bail or whatever to get Phillip out, or the court fees to get Phillip out. And when the bank became suspicious, they alerted the police. When that happened, he pretended to have a heart attack and was transported to a chicken farm.
What? That's not where you take someone with a heart attack.
I don't know why, or if that's a euphemism for something, but that's all I was able to find. But he was placed on security watch. I imagine this must have been in some sort of hospital or something.
Sure.
He's placed on security watch, but while he's on security watch, he impersonates an FBI agent and he calls the hospital on his cell and tells them to let him go. So they release him based on the phone call. Yep. But then U.S. Marshals track him down in Florida, where they arrested him on April 5th, 1998, when he went to go retrieve a fax at the courthouse. And he was sentenced to a total of 144 years in prison, 99 years for the multiple escapes, and 45 years for subsequent scams. But as of 2010, he is on 23-hour lockup, only having 1 free hour a day to shower and exercise. And his maximum sentence date is March 13th, 2113. So 2113.
Oh, he ain't making that.
Except that he became eligible for parole on December 15th, 2020.
What?
Well, he's not. He's a non-violent offender. It's definitely a weird area.
I don't think he should be out though.
Oh,
like,
man.
I
Yeah,
I don't think he's doing good. He was.
I mean, he's a dangerous person, is what I would say, because his capacity for defrauding people is insane. But yeah, so while on set, because they shot this in New Orleans at the Orleans Parish Prison, one of the extras, who was dressed as an inmate, was arrested by an actual jail guard after leaving the set to go put things in his car.
Oh, that's so funny.
So he was stealing from the set and got arrested by a guard who was like an extra?
No, he just went to like put his like wallet or
They
something
thought
in his
he's
car.
escaping.
They thought he was escaping the prison.
Oh my God. Oh, I thought you meant he was like stealing from the production or
No.
something. That's
No.
wild.
So Stephen tells Phillip that Friday the 13th is his lucky day, and several of the key events of the movie are shown as happening on Friday the 13th.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yep. So during the scene where Jim Carrey walks through the police station asking how people are doing, this is the very beginning when he's a cop.
Yeah.
One of the extras replies with shriveled and to the left, where it's like how they're hanging.
Which is from Liar Liar.
It's from Liar
Yeah,
Liar.
I
Yep.
noticed that. I was like, did they just
Yeah.
reference Liar Liar?
They did.
That's awesome.
In the scene where he jumps off the parking lot rooftop where he's trying to get into the dumpster, the ledge that he's standing on says no jumping. And there's a huge section of the movie where they play the song Marriage of Figaro by Mozart, and it's a nod to Shawshank Redemption, which plays it as well during some of the prison escape moments. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, this movie knows exactly what it's doing,
Yeah,
and
it does.
it's hilarious. But those are our fun facts.
Well, thank you for those truly amazing fun facts, Paige. Let's talk some box office.
Wait,
So-
hold on. Wait. Are they still together?
I don't know. I would say probably not. I would hope that Phillip
I
has
hope
found.
not.
Did they get paid for this?
He can't be, because you can't profit off your crimes.
Can Philip Morris make money, though? Because they're technically not his crimes.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, I hope Philip Morris made a shitload of money
Yeah.
off this because
I guess if you're gonna date someone terrible, the best you could do is have someone make a film about how terrible they were and then make money off of it.
imagine how vindicating that would feel.
Right?
Well, and he does participate in the movie because he's in the movie.
Yeah.
So Steven has gone on record as saying that he still loves Phillip, but it doesn't look like they're still together.
Well,
I
good.
want to see the sequel. I love myself, Philip Morris, about how he finds himself and grows from this experience.
I actually like that a lot. Like he's going to like Al-Anon meetings and like he's like figuring it out how to like be a unique person on his own.
I mean, when Rachel was on when we did Happiest Season, and we've talked about it a lot, there are not a lot of just like run-of-the-mill gay rom-coms. And what
Yes.
I want is Philip Morris's life after this, just falling in love with somebody and finding
Yeah.
happiness. That's all I want. Yeah.
I'd be all right with that. But the way the true life story played out, no, they're not together anymore.
No, I do not believe so.
Right.
I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Well, let's talk box office. So, what do you think the production budget was for I Love You, Philip Morris? It came out in 2010.
2010,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this was a $10 million movie.
Okay, Mikey, what do you think?
I'm going to say 15.
Wow, you guys are literally on either side of it. It was a $13 million production budget.
Nice.
Yeah. So very, very good guesses there. But it came out December 3rd, 2010, and it was 28th the weekend it came out.
I don't see this doing well at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's not a Christmas movie. I don't think they released it because they wanted it to be a part of the Christmas push. I think it was because they wanted it to be an Oscar thing.
Well, I remember that this was a big deal at the time that it came out, where people were like, did you hear about this movie about this gay guy that keeps escaping prison to be with the guy that he loves? And I was like, that sounds like an amazing story. And then I just didn't see it at the time. But I remember that it had a lot of buzz.
Yeah, you and everyone else didn't see it. It was beat by Tangled.
Oh, but it's Tangled. Everyone loves Tangled.
Tangled is great. Flynn Rider's one of my favorite. That was number one that weekend. And then the next one, number two, was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. And then Burlesque, Unstoppable, and Love and Other Drugs were your top five. Then there were like 25 other movies. And then I Love You, Philip Morris. So what do you think it made in its opening weekend? And I will give you a heads up. It was only in 7 theaters.
7 theaters. I'm going to say it made 40 grand.
Okay, Mikey, what do you think?
20.
All right. It actually did better. It did $112,000
Okay.
in its opening weekend in only 7 theaters, which is really respectable. That's like $16,000 per theater. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is pretty good.
Okay. So it eventually got into its peak domestic in theaters was 100 theaters. And that weekend it made $217,000, which was its peak at the box office, both like charts and monetarily. It like spent a few weeks at 23 and 24, but it never got into a lot of theaters in the US. So what do you think it made domestically in its domestic run in 2010?
I'm going to say it tops out around 2 million.
All right, Mikey, what do you think?
5 million.
All right. So Paige, you're almost exactly right. It was $2,037,459 was its domestic box office. Although it did make $20.9 million internationally. So it made a total of $23 million. So it made its budget back.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably made its budget even plus marketing back. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
probably. Because I don't really remember there being a huge marketing push for this. It clearly wasn't in many theaters domestically. So
There were a lot of articles about it, not a lot of like I don't remember seeing billboards for it. I do remember
commercials.
Or commercials. I do remember seeing a ton of articles about people either being scandalized by it
They're like clutching their pearls.
or either pearl clutching
Yeah.
or really excited.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, that's your box office for I Love You, Philip Morris.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
No, I just remembered it.
Oh, yeah, you did. So if you want to have Mikey read your review, leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes, and we will have Mikey read it. You guys know the deal. You've done it a few times. So, Mikey, who's you going to read this week?
Snow Cone 789.
Oh, well, what does Snow Cone 789 have to say? Wait, Mikey, is an alcoholic snow cone? I know your success rate goes way up if you've had a alcoholic snow cone.
100%.
Batting 1,000. Well, what does the alcoholic snow cone have to say?
They wrote a review entitled, I didn't know what I wanted in a podcast. I can't read the rest because I'm on my phone.
Okay.
But ...
Right.
It sounds good.
It does
okay,
sound good.
It says, Mikey, please read this like you are flirting.
Oh,
Okay.
my God.
Wait, you're going to need some chicken wings to make that happen.
Baby, if romancing the pod were words on a page, it'd be fine print.
Hang on. Are you flirting with me right now? It's hard to tell.
I'm acting.
I'm married.
I'm just a very good actor. Excuse me. It must hurt when each episode drops from heaven.
Aw.
Okay.
As the producer of the podcast, I thank you for that.
You can tell this podcast was made in Tennessee because it's the only tin I see.
I knew where that was going, and I was on board for it. That was amazing.
Oh, yes.
This podcast could be named Google because it's everything I'm searching for.
Damn.
The hosts, Mikey, Paige, and Todd, must be tired because they've been running through my mind all night.
We've been living rent-free up in that dome.
If being sexy was a crime, they'd be guilty as charged. It goes on like this. If they were a fruit, they'd be a fine apple. I hope Mikey has CPR training because he takes my breath away.
I love this.
Paige must be a magician because she makes everyone else disappear.
Am I a murderer? Am I a murderer?
A murder-gician, Paige.
Ooh,
I don't know what-
Truxecutioner.
This one's good. I don't know what Todd's 8 shirts are he's wearing are made of, but I'm guessing it's boyfriend material.
Can I just say this? I took a lot of shit for layering up in the winter, but it's the summer now. I'm wearing a t-shirt and like exercise shorts right now.
Shut up, Todd. This is my segment.
Calm down, layers.
Oh, I'd like to take them to the movies, but they don't let you bring in your own snacks. Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, shit.
Good one.
I guarantee
That's
you
amazing.
Mikey's going to use that on Tinder later tonight.
Yeah, that is going into the bank. All right.
The help me not spank it, bank it.
Trust me, I'm not drunk. I'm just intoxicated by romancing the pod.
Oh, I love it.
They need to be named Spotify's hottest single.
Actually, Mikey, I wanted to congratulate you on winning that award, Spotify's hottest single.
If I win Spotify's hottest single because there's actual musicians on it, that would be a weird Sliders-esque alternative universe.
I'm here for it. I love tiny
Sliders.
hamburgers.
Where either podcasts are more important. Yeah. Buffalo chicken sliders. Okay, I'm so glad I started following because my parents always told me to follow my dreams.
Oh, this is amazing.
XOXO Elizabeth B, but you can call me tonight or tomorrow.
I know Elizabeth. Elizabeth has done a lot of the artwork for the Horror Virgin. Like,
She's so funny.
she's amazing. She's the one that did Flamecopter, Flamecopter 2, and PB8.
We're not done.
Oh, we're
P.S.
not? Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
I know I'm actually terrible at flirting. How about you try to pick me up instead?
Oh, Mikey.
Ooh, 5 stars.
I love this. I think this, I actually remember this now because Elizabeth asked me in, I think it was Discord, when I asked for thirst tweets, she just said, can I just leave a thirsty review? And I was like, yes, you can. So I'm glad, Elizabeth, thank you so much for delivering. This was amazing. So guys, if you want to leave us a 5-star review, it does not have to be quite as thirsty, although we do appreciate thirsty reviews. Feel free to leave us thirstier reviews for Mikey to read and blush at. Someone include the P word in a review, please.
Yes, please include that in a positive review.
I'd love to see how they work it in. All right. This week, Mikey, you made us watch I Love You, Phillip Morris.
I did.
Next week, I believe, is my week.
Yes, it is your week.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I honestly sort of never know. But I knew what I was doing for this month because it was Pride Month. And I think,
You're always after me. Just remember that.
Mikey, that's expecting me to remember something that I clearly am not capable of remembering. Anyway, I watched this movie the first time when I was in high school. And I remember not laughing once the entire time I was watching it because I was like, oh my God, this is so next level genius funny. I was like, my brain like could not comprehend how funny it was. I had to watch it a second time literally later that same day to like really like sit back and enjoy it. And that's The Birdcage.
Yes.
Oh.
I have not seen this movie in probably 10 years, but I remember really thinking this movie was next level funny. It was so funny in the moment.
But yes, I'm very excited. It's going to be great.
So your homework for this week is to get
Wine
vermouth drunk. I think
Oh,
it's vermouth they drink.
Vermouth drunk.
And watch The Birdcage. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So, guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
Yes.
on Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn it.
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at MRandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I am Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Toodle pip. Laters, baby.
Bye.
Bye.